Greetings, all! Today, we'll be examining the Dark Dragon-type Ultra Beast Guzzlord, the Junkivore Pokémon. Behemoths in both size and ferocity, and a true threat to all that get in their way, Guzzlord are monstrous beasts who can take a licking and keep right on ticking and eating until there's truly nothing left.
Guzzlord have massive black bodies with an enormous torso where their immense mouth is located, walking on a pair of short, stout legs with a yellow stripe at each ankle and 3 black claws each. Their back and front adorned with a number of spines and other projections, complete with a massive tail on the back that ends with a large spiked ball, while the upper arms have a thinner profile to them with 3 yellow claws on each hand. They have a small upper head with glowing blue eyes and a pair of projections on each side that end with a yellow barb, while a second, much larger set of blue eyes is set just above their massive, torso-filling maw, which itself has bright yellow teeth and jaws, a pair of massive, tongue-like grasping appendages attached to the inside with toothy grasping apparati at their ends, and an electric blue interior that leads to a blue-white patch of flesh in the very back that none are said to return from once it is touched.
Guzzlord are extremely intimidating and powerful creatures that can more than incite terror and cause massive destruction as a result of their appearances and voracious appetite.
These monsters will slowly plot around their environment and use their 2 massive clawed tongues to grab anything and everything they see and shove it into their open mouths, which take up the vast majority of their body space. Their mouth takes up so much space, in fact, that the beast's other organs are almost non-existent, and the creatures seem to completely lack any organs or similar tissues that can remove toxins from their body, like the human liver does. Considering their eating habits, though, this is the least concerning feature of their forms, as these monsters will literally swallow up the land, sea, and sky, and leave nothing in their wake but a barren wasteland. Even entire mountains and a skyscraper have been gobbled up by at least one specimen prior to capture, and they never show any signs of being satiated, feeding constantly for as long as they are awake as if they were eternally hungry. This in and of itself makes Snorlax look like they are going on a diet, but what makes these creatures even more terrifying is that no form of excrement has ever been found in association with them. It seems, quite literally, that everything that enters into their mouth and reaches the back of their throats vanishes completely, never to be seen again. It is currently uncertain how this is possible, but the best explanation that is available is that these creatures are essentially living black holes, not only in the sense that anything that enters their bodies never comes out, but also in stating that they may be capable of instantly vaporizing and converting every bit of matter that enters into their bodies into pure energy, which could also explain why they're able to survive so easily despite having such small internal organs and a complete lack of a digestive system. However, this does not help with the fact that these creatures are hard to seriously hurt with their notably excessive stamina and are likely quite common in whatever world they hail from, as well as soft fleshy bodies do not offer much in the way of direct resistance against attack. Their HP reserves are incredibly high, and they can easily take a severe beating while still remaining in a healthy state. Their odd type combination only further makes them problematic to deal with, and there is little chance of any creature escaping their sight, as the 4 eyes they possess are able to see in both the visible spectrum and infrared light, leaving few Pokemon that could ever hope to hide from these gluttonous monsters.
This is made even more so by the fact that exposure to the effects of the Beast Boost after initially entering this world results in the first exposure to Ultra Wormhole energy greatly raising their attack stat, about twice as much as normal, making them capable of easily destroying anything that dares to resist them.
In addition to being extremely gluttonous and dangerous in general to be around, these monsters possess a very short and violent temper, and specialize in using an array of attacks that reflect this perfectly, like Thrash, Brutal Swing, and Stomping Tantrum. If these monsters are angered in even the slightest way, they will violently club anything that is close to them and try to crush other creatures under their body, killing everything around them until they feel like they can calm down again. Additionally, these creatures are actually very sensitive to touch and will cry out if they are poked or prodded in a way that they do not approve of, lashing out at the source and crushing it in a single violent blow from one of its tongues. However, when in a stable state, these creatures are actually rather loving and like to bond with those that are nice to them, acting more like a giant puppy than a living black hole when they are in a placid and happy state. While this does little to help keep their voracious hunger under control, it does nonetheless make them much easier to work with and even possible to train. Shouting at them or striking them is obviously a bad idea, so less forceful means of behavior modification have proven to be extremely effective when dealing with these monsters, so much so that it can almost be considered tame in the most promising of specimens. This can actually make Guzzlord one of the few Ultra Beasts that is at least mildly safe to use in an actual Pokemon battle, though only in theory, the extreme danger they pose to the well-being of everything surrounding them, living creature and material objects alike, is sadly still too much for them to be safely trusted with battling an opponent fairly and without eating them. With all this said, however, it must be noted that as far as the actual combat stats are concerned, these creatures actually underperform in most areas as a result of their soft forms and only moderate offenses. This is not to say that they are without merit, however, as they do at least have decent offenses, their base special attack stat being above average for a fully evolved Dark-type Pokemon, and they do have an incredibly massive pool of stamina to work with, their base HP stat being above average for a fully evolved Dark and Dragon-type Pokemon, in turn having the highest base HP stat out of all Dark and Dragon-type Pokemon, and allowing them to take a ton of punishment in the right cases, and thus provide them opportunities to get in some nasty attacks before bowing out in a fight.
No! No! Hell no! Look, I might be an Ultra Beast myself, and might not have the right to complain about fellow Ultra Beasts to some, but Guzzlord are an absolute dire threat to anything and everything they come across. Sure, their actual base stats mean that they can only hit moderately hard with their attacks, and a little more than a defensively weak damage sponge to some, but their combat attributes are a poor representation of just how much of a danger they can really be. Just think of it. One day you're just walking through your neighborhood and suddenly one of these things appears out of nowhere and proceeds to literally devour the street you're walking on. Maybe beating them back might not be so bad, but then imagine 5, 10, 20 or more of these monsters at your front doorstep. There's a reason why these creatures might be going extinct. They literally eat everything they can with no remorse or care, even if it's to their detriment. I will at least say that they can be tamed, thus rendering some of the more unpleasant attributes and behaviors at least somewhat null. But that doesn't take away from the horrors that these beasts are and that they can create. At the very least, they can be subdued and sent packing if stuck in a world where they are thriving. But if one comes into our world, you can bet that it will prove to be a terror to face and not something for the faint of heart to confront.
While their rarity in the wild might mitigate the threat that these aliens pose, Guzzlord are nonetheless among the most brutal of Ultra Beasts, and worth fearing outright for the sheer damage they can do to the world around them. Fairy-type assaults, among others, might be able to fell them readily, but if you can't utterly destroy them, these creatures will just get right back up and come after you time and time again until they are finally put down for good.
As such, make sure to do yourself a huge favor and not carry anything valuable on your person with you when you go to confront these monsters. Squishy and soft they may be, but if you or anything you own get sucked into their maws, all you can do is prepare for the sweet embrace of the end, or whatever may lie on the other side of their portal-like gullet.
Thank you for watching this video. It brings me great joy to be able to speak to you all in the world each and every time we meet like this, to explore the many different facets of both the world of Pokemon as we know it, and the world as we live it, through every adventure we have with Pokemon by our side. If you'd like to, please subscribe, ring the bell and all that jazz, to keep yourself updated on content uploads and other materials of the like. You can also follow me on Twitter if you'd like to know right away when something new is uploaded, and my written works, from which most of this is based on, can be found on DeviantArt. Links to both can be found in the description down below. Remember that the world of Pokemon is a place full of wonder and mystery, and you never know what to expect. So, stay vigilant, keep watch, and always be prepared for the unexpected. Until next time, trainers and friends of all sorts, have a wonderful time.